name is Don Lamba, aka The Boss. You're listening to Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos. Tap I tap, I'm on top of the world.
I had a rumor that you were searching for the station to give you joy, laughter, and happiness. I had a rumor that the station you're searching for is right here. I mean, here. 98.3 Mainland FM, the sound of Lagos.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. And I want to use this medium to talk to you. Please, look at the youth of Nigeria. We are really suffering.
Politics plays its part in everything that defines us as a sovereign entity. Isn't it right to discuss what makes it tick? When the main actors converge in the power corridors to make decisions that affect the next meal, shouldn't we probe even deeper?
Nigeria is suffering. The suffering is too much.
When it comes to the complexities of politics, we strive to give it clarity, to deepen your understanding as the listener.
The decisive factor will be knowledgeable leadership committed to good governance.
Make it a date with Oᴘᴇᴇᴅ and Saeed Fuad on Midweek Politics every Wednesday from 1 to 3 p.m. on your top dial, Mainland 98.3 FM. Politics, it's a whole meal.
Political enemies, they don't want you to succeed. Have you just realizing that? No matter what I do, they will still abuse me.
More and more. Next time they go, children they die more and more. No food to eat, no light to see, no water to drink.
What makes me different from you? What truly separates us? When we look beyond names, languages, and tribes, we'll see that we are all humans. We are all Nigerians. It's painful that tribalism continues to divide us, blinding us to the strength we share when we stand as one. We must understand that the true essence of being Nigerian isn't found in your tribe, but in your strength, in your heart, your resilience, and your ability to stand tall side by side with your brother and sister, no matter where they come from. Whether you are Tiv, Kanuri, Egba, Ibibio, Esan, Ijo, Urobo, Igbo, Fulani, Yoruba, or from any of our beautiful ethnic groups, always remember that we are stronger together. Let's drop the bias, silence, and hate and lift each other up. Let unity reign. Let love lead. Let Nigeria rise. Say no to tribalism.
Keep us together. Living in a world, it's a struggle just staying alive. One love, keep us together.
Well, I've always said it. You may not like the style of politics of the FCT minister, that's the immediate past governor of Rivers State, Barrister Nyesom but I've always also said it that I really don't care how they play their politics. I'm just interested in how you deliver good governance to the people. In terms of infrastructures, in terms of doing what you would look back in a few years' time and say, even though I wasn't a perfect person, as a public office holder, I did my best. Well, now while Wike was rounding off his administration in Rivers, while he was also building up for his very famous presidential journey on the platform of the PDP, he called himself Mr. Project, because almost every other weekend he was inviting people, politicians, even members of the opposition parties. I remember when he was in the PDP, he had a lot of APC governors coming to Rivers to commission projects. And now he's in Abuja, and the accusations he's coming to grab land, he's coming to do this, he's coming to do that. but it feels like a lot of things are changing. It's been weeks of project commissioning, project flag offs from the High Court judges' quarters to the roads, infrastructures, left, right, and center. I was in Abuja last year, yes. And I just told my friend, we're driving, and I was like, if you don't manage this Abuja road, well, you go lost. So, and that's how, and I've always said it, Abuja is the federal capital territory. It's the seat of power. You should wear a look, that dignifies same, so that when visitors are coming into the city, they will know that indeed this is the seat of power of the largest democracy in Africa, the largest black democracy in the world. Yes, we may be dealing with our problems, enormous. Those that we should have surmounted many, many years ago, but probably played politics too much with some of these issues. We're lackadaisical about some of them. We also probably put tribal coloration. Oh, don't call them so. Oh, don't call them so and so. Call them this, call them that. And then look at where we are right now. Well, it's exactly a month and 3 days that the unfortunate abduction in Oyo State has happened. And we're still hoping. We'll continue to pray. Even though I've always said it that prayers don't work. In spaces where there is a failure of leadership, our prayers will not replace, those failures. When you go into social contracts with people, and then you play your own part of the bargain by coming out to vote on election day, and the person that you went into social contract with promised to give you roads, give you, good health, keep you safe, and they are telling you that you have to pray. I imagine the Minister of State for Defense, Bello Matawalle, saying that it's only God that can end insecurity in Nigeria. Then what are you doing as a minister? Why are you enjoying, everything that comes with your office? Then we should just resign, and then I will carry our security matter to God, and then He would help us to solve it. So there are people that have been constitutionally empowered to govern us, to make laws on our behalf, to preside over us. And when these people enjoy the benefit of those offices that they are holding, it is only normal for them to do the right things and not tell us to continue to pray for things to get better. Leaders are made. Leaders are opportune to hold public offices, and it is your duty to do the things. As long as I play my own part of the bargain by voting for you, you are supposed to play your own part of the bargain by also keeping to all of the promises you made during your campaigns. Whether they are propaganda, whether they are manifestos, whether they are just words to excite me, but you gave me your commitment that, listen, if you come out to vote for me and make me your president, I will keep you safe. I will make sure that I fight corruption. I'll make sure that I give you affordable, health. I'll give you quality education. You have access to public infrastructures. So when I wake up on election day and then I go through the stress and the trouble and the pain and the inconveniences and I choose to vote for you, you can't wake up and tell me to start praying for security. Because when you came to me, I didn't tell you to pray for vote. I told you I was going to come out and vote for you. So there was a social contract. And if you breached that contract by not voting by not doing what you promised to do, when the next election comes, I would throw you out. And as simple as that. Welcome to Midweek Politics, live from Mainland 98.3 FM. It's a big week, especially for the people of Ekiti State. On Saturday, the indigents of Ekiti State, or the residents of the state, would go to the polls to choose who governs them for the next 4 years. It could be a referendum for the sitting governor, Biodun Yebanji, and is running for a second time in office. It could be an opportunity for other political parties to also say, you know what, we can offer way better. I don't know the fate of the PDP in the state as we speak, but of course we know that, especially with the state of execution that was gotten yesterday, as that means the Accord Party and the AADC Party and the Action Alliance Party and the Action People's Party candidates in the state would be on the ballot on Saturday. So I will keep you updated in respect to what is going on from Ado Ekiti to Ikole, from Ijero to Moba. Those are people that have the opportunity to also get things done differently. And by August, we'll move to Osun State, a very peculiar state. Trust me, on Mainland FM, I would certainly be on ground in Osun to give you everything as we build up to that election. And I've always hoped that INEC will use these off-cycle elections and then the other by-elections that would have before the end of the year to fill up vacant senatorial seats, one in Ondo State, to replace Senator Jimoh Ibrahim, that is now the Nigerian ambassador to the UN. So there will be a by-election in that Ondo North Senatorial District. A couple of House of Assembly elections, House of Representative seats that have been vacant due to maybe death and a few other situations. So I'm hoping that INEC will use these opportunities to test run some of the things that they want to use ahead of the 2027 January election. I understand that they would always conduct periodic mock elections, but it still cannot be like a general election, like a proper election. So we have 2 off-cycle elections in Ondo and Osun in June and August. And in between that, we'll have a couple of other by-elections before the major election, which is in January 2027. So INEC have a responsibility to use these 2 elections to send the signal to Nigerians that, listen, if you can go through the commitment of registering, when they inform you that your PVCs are ready, you can go to the local government or the designated areas to pick up your PVCs. And then on election day, you're not just sitting in your homes, you're not just using the opportunity to visit friends or to play football or to do whatever you want to do. You are actually ready to vote on election day and make sure that you defend the vote. So we'll move away from the whole conversation of your votes don't count. Your vote really does count. If it doesn't, the politicians will not be buying your voter's card. So they need those numbers. We'll move past the area of where they will snuff ballot boxes or even snatch ballot boxes or bring out unprinted ballot papers. There has to be a process, accreditation, verification. All of these would have to, and I think it has helped us. I think maybe about a year ago, thereabout, Said Fad was talking about the fact that where people talk of low voters turnout, that maybe this is actually the number of people that vote in this country. The days where there were no card readers, there were no beavers, and then they will tell you that, in a certain state, so maybe they call them the KKK states, Kebbi, Kano, Katsina, Kaduna, when they come like this, they'll give you 8 million votes, and then they give you so and so million votes, and people are like, the North holds the ace, and the voting power in the North is huge, and the control becomes the president. If you don't put them on the ticket, or either the president and the VP, they won't turn out. Now we're complaining of low voters turnout. Maybe this is actually the number of people that have been voting before. So it seems that the technologies coming into the election is bringing some level of sanity into the process. So we are thinking that the states that used to give you 2 million before is not giving 870,000 or it's giving you 600,000. You think it's low voters turnout? No. I think it is actually the number of people that have been voting, but because you can't inflate the numbers now, you're thinking that because the numbers are dropping, the turnout is low. I don't think so. But again, whether that's the case or not, we have another duty with us. INEC had, continue with the continuous voters registration. And we're begging you. We've been doing that campaign on this station, on all our political, our current affairs, even our news. We give you those mentions that please, we are begging you, go and register for your PVC. And don't just register for your PVC because you want to get your PVC as probably a means of identification or to do transaction. I think it's accepted like the driver's license, the national ID card, the international passport. I know a lot of people have their PVCs because they want to keep it as a form of, please, that shouldn't be the only reason why. In fact, that is not even the original reason for picking up your PVC. That's why they call it permanent voter's card. It is for you to vote, not keep it at home, not keep it inside your Bible, inside your Quran, not keep it inside your wallet. It is for you to vote on election day. There would not be any revolution in this country beyond the ballot. There can't be any gun revolution in this country. There can't be any violent takeover in this country. There can't be a successful military coup in this country. The only way we can change government in this country is to vote. And that is just it. The only way we can do that, the way we can throw out leaders that are not giving us the promises they made for us during elections or during the campaign processes, is to go on election day and vote them out. Yes, there could be intimidations, there could be issues here and there, or maybe issues like glitch, whatever it is. Just make sure that from your own part, you exercise your franchise. Then just leave the rest and let's see how things would work out. I mean, we're a bit better than where we used to be in this country. Oh boy. There were times in this country where there would not be voting in certain local government or communities, and then they'll bring numbers out. Remember, in Ekiti State, there's something they call Iboidosi. That was during Shegoni. and I think Fayemi or thereabouts, where one of the candidates was leading, and then they were waiting for a particular local government, which is Idosi. And then when the local government vote came in, it that particular local government, I think we moved past that. And now you can confidently say that even though we're not having a perfect election yet, and that is where the responsibility of INEC needs to come in. INEC needs to reinstate the trust that the people used to have in that electoral body. And they need to give us credible, free, and valid election. So on Monday, the chairman of INEC, Professor Josh Amukpiton, raised concerns about insecurity, and he says, as long as insecurity persists, we cannot have credible election, and that is a valid concern. That is a valid concern, and I hope that the relevant authorities would have to do the right thing and just get things done before Nigerians go to the polls. But for the people of Ekiti, I wish you well on Saturday, and I'm hoping that when you make your political decisions, you will make it not because of the Boko Sebe. My cousin, Wale, he sent me a message yesterday, and I said that Muwala Dubai, that is in Ado at the moment, and he's so disappointed about how people are waiting for money on Saturday. Like he said, people were discussing it everywhere that I'm at Dibu, I'm at Sebe, I will vote and cook. And he just sent me the message yesterday that he just arrived at Do now, and then he's so disappointed at how everyone is discussing about the election, and I'm just waiting for monies to come. And I'm like, well, we have a lot of work to do. The media, the NGOs, the National Orientation Agencies, the Ministry of Information across states, even at the federal level, we have a lot of work to do. Side forward, it's another Wednesday afternoon. Well, it looks like we're going to have to recycle the same set of people on the ballot in 2023. For the All Progressive Congress, it seems nothing would change. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and VP Shetima could be returning on the same ticket that we had in 2023. For the ADC, it was Dumebika Achiku in 2023. A faction of the ADC is still putting Dumebika Achiku out as the candidate of the party for the election. But maybe the most popular faction of the party is now bringing in the 2023 and 2019 presidential candidate of the PDP and the former vice president, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. And he's now picked a running mate, the man that came second in the APC primaries behind President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, defeating the sitting vice president, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, and a few other people. Former governor of Rivers State, two-term member of the Rivers State House of Assembly and former speaker, and 7 years and 4 months Minister of Transportation, Right Honorable Rotimi Amechi. We're going to focus on that ticket on the show today. What does Rotimi Amechi bring to the Atiku Abubakar ticket? On the other part, the candidate that came third and fourth in the 2023 election are now joining forces to become the presidential candidate and the vice presidential candidate of a different political party. Peter Obi came third in the last election with about 6.1 million votes. Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso came fourth in that election with about less than 2 million votes on the platform of the Labour Party and the NNPP respectively. Both of them are joining forces to now become the presidential and vice presidential candidate of the newly formed NDC. So we have the same set of people. Rotimi Amechi was part of the APC primaries. Atiku Abubakar was a candidate. Peter Obi was a candidate. Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso was a candidate. It seemed the same set of people will still be fielding or holding the ticket for the major political parties ahead of the 2027 election. We don't know what the people in the PDP are doing with the former president Goodluck Jonathan, a faction loyal to Turaki, Seyi Makinde, and also taking that part of the PDP into the APM to also put himself up as a presidential candidate. So we have a lot of people trying to get into Aso Rock. So we will focus on the Atiku Amechi ticket on the show today. But of course, the NDC had also read the Riot Act and giving out a commitment on the members that, you know what, if you stay in this party, if you want to be in this party, whether we sink or we swim, whether we float or we drown, you are staying in this party. Good to have you join us again, Side, for so much to talk about on the show today. And of course, we'd enjoy the people to would welcome the people to join us at some point on the show.
Thank you for having me, Okwemi. Again to discuss politics. Hoping that whatever we say is good enough to enlighten the people. Whatever we say is good enough to get the people thinking, and whatever we say will be valuable enough to inform the minds of the people about the political intrigues amongst political parties, the interplay of width and strength amongst our politicians, and what we're going to most likely get ahead of the 2027 elections. Our politicians are not sleeping, so we should not sleep. There's a lot going on within the political space. You know, a lot of movements are being made, negotiations are going on, considerations are being made, concessions are being made. And so it's just very important that, you know, since it's an integral part of our life, we also must pay attention to what our politicians are doing. I've told a number of my friends, especially the younger ones, that you might like entertainment. It might be okay for you to just say, no, it's just going to be about sports. If it's not about Arsenal, about Madrid, about Chelsea, nothing concerns me. I really am not interested. If it's not about Wizkid, Burna Boy, Davido, what's my business? But they forget that, look, the politicians are the ones that will eventually formulate policies that may eventually affect
those ones you're interested in,
the sports that you like, the music that you want to listen to, you know. If not for the selflessness, you know, the ingenuity of our artists, who, despite all the odds, have been able to
thriving.
put themselves out there. I don't think we have been able to create an enabling environment that can get them to that pedestal. You know, it must have been from some level of selflessness, hard-working ingenuity that we have them. Even in our sporting world, you know, you will know that, look, we have some of the best footballers in the world, but does not necessarily mean that we've given them enough support back. Our league is nothing to write home about, whether we like it or not.
Tell me about that.
You know, I'm sure you know. You know, you go around. Where are the playing grounds? Which of our stadium can really stand approved when we talk about stadiums all over the world? So we would have to continue to discuss politics, look at some of these things, and hope, like I said, that we're done enough to inform and get the people thinking about some of these things.
Well, that is our duty, and we're bound to deliver quality conversation on radio across all our programs on mainland 98.3 FM. Well, let's get straight up into it. Side forward, on Monday, the Federal High Court in Abuja ordered INEC to deregister 5 political parties: the ADC, Accord Party, the Zenith Labour Party, the Action Alliance, and the Action People's Party. And due to their failure to meet constitutional requirements for continued existence, they've affected parties like listed ADC, APP, AA, Accord Party, and Zenith Labour Party. Justice Peter Lifu issued the order while delivering judgment in a suit filed by the National Forum of Former Legislators, a coalition of former federal and state lawmakers advocating electoral reforms and a reduction in the proliferation of political parties in the country. That judgment scattered everywhere, if I'm allowed to use that word, on Monday. In fact, it overshadowed the announcement of Amechi as Atiku's running mate, because whatever it is that you've made in that announcement is invalid, especially with this order that we just go right now. It means that for 24 hours until there's another judgment. There was another judgment yesterday. The ADC was not existing. Accord Party was not existing according to that judgment. But again, while that was going on, INEC itself, or even while the opposition party were still threatening that they would challenge the outcome of that, that decision or that judgment, temporary relief came the way of former President Atiku Abubakar, the likes of Senator Ademola Adeleke, and other candidates of the 5 political parties, following the suspension of an order of the Federal High Court which ordered their deregistration. A 3-man panel of the Court of Appeal in a unanimous ruling yesterday suspended the execution of the judgment of the trial court on the grounds that it was delivered without jurisdiction. While Atiku is the presidential candidate of the ADC for the 2027 election, Adeleke is the governorship candidate of Accord in the off-circuit election slated for August this year in Osun State. Justice Peter Lifu on Monday ordered INEC to deregister ADC, AA, APP, Zenith Labour Party, and of course Accord Party for failing to win any electoral seat in the 2023 general elections. Moved by the order of the trial court, the affected political parties and INEC approached the appellate court for an order halting the deregistration. The appellant affirmed and informed the panel of justices that the trial judge acted in total disregard of the orders of the Court of Appeal, directing him to stay further proceedings in the matter pending the hearing and determination of the interlocutory appeal before the appellate court. Side forward, two key judgments in 24 hours. Yes. And there's been a lot of concerns about the politicization of the judiciary in this country, conflicting orders, conflicting judgments, the different courts giving different judgments, certain courts cancelling out another court. When you got that judgment on Monday, what was the first thing that came to your mind? Because before the stay of execution was given yesterday, there were a lot of fingers being pointed at President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Tinubu wants to kill democracy. Atiku Abubakar spoke about it. Peter Obi spoke about it. Everyone spoke about it. But it seems like temporary relief came on the for ADC and the other parties yesterday. But what does this tell you about the journey to 2027 election for us as a nation?
Okay. I have my fears, and the journey looks frightening, for want of a better word. And when I say frightening, I just hope that our politicians, the people who run the judiciary, our judges and justices would understand that, look, this democracy is being threatened, whether we like it or not. I understand the feeling that, it was so bad before, but we've been able to sustain it for 27 years. So what more can happen? But again, there's enough in our history to show that, look, if we're not careful, we'll also truncate this particular democracy, this democratic experiment. And so if you ask me about the journey towards 2027, I say it's become more frightening for me. My own observation, my own analysis of the issue, and I think I have enough points to back up what I'm saying. Now, on the judgment itself, Opeyemi, now, when I got that judgment, I was like, was it not the same court that adjourned the case sine die when it first came up? Because this is not something new. It's a case that came up, and I remember that, the judge has said, you know what, this is a case that, will be pending until when there's enough to really come and hear it and then make a judgment on it. And then when the judgment came, it surprised a lot of us, because a lot of times there would have been enough arguments and counter-argument. In fact, the media would have been well aware that a judgment was coming. The date for a judgment, you can see that even the political parties,
they were not. Some of them were not even represented.
They were informed that there will be a judgment by a WhatsApp message, through a WhatsApp message. INEC even said that there was no official correspondence to them that the judgment will be delivered. They got it through the media that judgment came, because the last correspondence they got from the court was the one from the appeal court. And so you ask yourself, how did we get to this level? And I think that Nigerians must understand that this is not about individuals, about the interest of people. In fact, I spoke with a so-called one of the obedience who was almost celebrating what had happened on Monday to say, thank God, Peter Obi
left ADC.
I'm not sure, but I know that there's still a pending case on how INEC decided to register the NDC and did not register
the other political parties.
Which party is that?
ADA.
ADA. So, if we have what has now been generally considered a judicial
rascality
or rascality, as we want to call it, you don't celebrate it because you think, your own person is immune. It could just be a precursor. It could even be, more like what could happen to you. So it could just happen. Anything can happen. People, now the courts have almost gone quote and unquote crazy. The judgments that come even shocks the most senior lawyers in the country.
Like,
how did this happen?
Learned colleague, how did you arrive at this one?
And so what are we talking about here? You don't need to be a lawyer. And I think there's a precedence in this matter. Because I saw that people are still misunderstanding what we're saying here. But I would, again, in our explanation, I want to start by saying that we'll do our best for you to understand what the issues are. But we don't expect you to understand if you don't want to understand. So we understand what your problem is. If after all we are going to say here, you still don't understand, it's not a problem.
Okay.
It's okay. Just live in your self-induced
bubble.
Your bubble. Now, if you remember the case of Balanofiu Gombe, the case was at the High Court, the Federal High Court. And the High Court judge had told the ADC of David Mark, Aregbesola and co. that appear before me to come and tell me why I should not entertain this
your
matter.
case.
And instead of them going ahead to
They
attend,
went to another court.
They went to the appeal court, if you remember. And then the appeal court did not quickly adjudicate on the matter. But remember that what they wanted was for the appeal court to stay.
Instruct the Federal High Court not to.
Which they did. Why they needed to even know why you are. You know, once you approach the court will want to listen to you and say, okay, well, so, and what did you see? So that the Federal High Court stopped all proceedings on the matter until the appeal court told them that
there's a case.
But you saw that you can't have a situation where that same matter is before the appeal court
while it's still at the Federal High Court. Exactly, because the appeal court is a superior court.
So you have to wait to see whether what would the appeal court do. Now the problem now became a bit muddled up when the appeal court in its own ruling brought up the antebellum issue that maintains status quo antebellum, then go back
to the Federal High Court and sort the matter there.
And sort before that. You don't need to come here first. But instead of just sending them back to the Federal High Court, the appeal court
now complicated things even further
by bringing in status quo antebellum.
So which status quo are we holding on to?
And so what they did was to give an order to INEC and then tell the parties to go back to the Federal High Court. If you remember, that was where INEC said where they are confused, in their own interpretation and what have you. But you saw that the plaintiffs, the people who are the article people at the ADC who had gone to the appeal court, now took it to the Supreme Court. While all of that was happening, what was happening at the Federal High Court?
Nothing. You still come back and meet us.
Whether they come back or not, but at least the fact that superior courts were on that matter, the Federal Court cannot do anything until it is resolved. So even when the appeal court says go back and they went ahead to the Supreme Court, the Federal Court still hold on because that was a superior court on that same matter. And then you had the Supreme Court now saying, you know what? That order by the appeal court that told you to go back to the Federal High Court is valid. Go back there. But the area where the appeal court made mistake was the area of status quo. Going further by talking about status quo antebellum, which was completely unnecessary. In fact, it was not a prayer that was even
brought before the appeal court. Is that you don't have any business with that one?
You've told them the party is running. They have a leadership. You only want to do the whole thing up by now going into an area that was not even before you. Yes, the Supreme Court affirmed the decision of the appeal court that told them to go back
to the Federal High Court.
Because you have not even been, the case has not even been heard. Let it be heard. Then if you are not, you can come. So there's nothing wrong in people taking steps like that. But you cannot have a stay or further proceedings order of a superior court on you as a lower court judge and you ignore it.
Who are you?
Whether the matter is valid, whether no matter what
you must hear it.
It is the rule. Lawyers have said it. So I'm surprised that there are people who are still just wasting their time. Yes, the matter was before the Federal High Court, but the other parties had gone to the appeal court, and the appeal court has said, you know what, hold on, Federal High Court. pending when I hear why they are even before me in the first place, to see whether there are reasons for coming
valid.
to a higher court
Is
valid or not. But you don't know what the lower court. Oh
Relax.
no, that was why I brought in the issue of the ADC now and Mɪᴅ-Wᴇᴇᴜ. That same thing happened, but the appeal court told them, you know what, on this matter I cannot go forward. We still go back. That from what I've seen, you need to first sort it out at the federal high court.
Explain why this matter should not at the federal high court
first, and they did, and then you know what, go back there. But like I said, you saw that a superior court eventually now told the appeal court, you know what, your decision to tell them to go back is valid.
But the other
going further
clause
is wrong. But you saw that along the processes, the lawyers, the judges followed what was going on. So, and if the appeal court had given an order to stay further proceedings on the matter at the lower court, you going ahead, to give judgment on the matter is a disregard, and it's more than what I call judicial rascality. It's completely responsible at that level. And to know that this was intentional, you saw that even when references were made to him, the judge now, the Justice Lifunada, yes, you can't say, he said, well, I will attend to it, and he did it I said, well, it was just like a disregard for the Superior Court. And you know that in our jurisprudence here, you cannot disobey a valid order, judgment of a superior court. That's why no matter what you get at the appeal court, once the Supreme Court rules otherwise, that's the end.
That's why they call it the Supreme Court. That's the highest court in the land.
We have the Federal High Court. If you have the federal and the state, sometimes you call them courts of coordinate jurisdiction. But the Superior Court is the appeal court to any of those two.
And the superior to all of them is the Supreme
Court. So why would a judge at that level disregard a valid order of a superior court? It's a question, and that's why people are saying the NJC must step in. This is the time for the NJC to show that they have the big stick to whip erring judges, reckless, and judges that have gone rogue, back to line. You cannot mess everything up. So again, we'll be waiting to see whether the NJC will take this up. But I like the fact that, look, the appeal court quickly stepped in. Maybe because the matter was already before them. If you notice, so it was easy for the appeal court to
just open
this was a matter that was already before.
Let's give a ruling on this
that
one.
They didn't mince words. The judges of the appeal court, they were so heavy. In fact, at some point they said that, look, such a judge is not even fit to be on the bench. So let us not even look at the matter. And I think whatever we've said so far should have been able to establish the fact that, look, this was just a judge.
There's probably a script somewhere.
And it's unfortunate, whatever. Look, there's nothing wrong in having these kinds of scripts. But let the script be reasonable.
You don't even need to be a lawyer to understand what happened on Monday.
It's obviously ridiculous. It's ridiculous because even INEC had to
what's going on here?
No matter what you think of INEC, they too felt that we are still battling our own image problems.
Take us out of this one.
You
first.
Want to put another one on this one?
I remove my hand.
I don't know this one. We know this. Because we cannot just make. And if you look at the people who had gone to court, incorporated trustees, I think it was registered sometime last year, of National Forum of Former Lawmakers.
They're playing they're playing their part in strengthening democracy and electoral reforms.
Former legislators. People have alleged that their leader is the current chief of staff, Fẹ́mi he's a former legislator too, that is the one leading the group, and that's why you can see that people are saying that, well, this may just be the handiwork of the presidency, because one of the issues also raised is, this group, if these parties remain registered, what damage do they suffer? What damage does it do to them? They are not running now. They are not they will not be on the ballot. They are just former legislators. So
how does it affect?
In law, you have to show that
you have to prove that this action is affecting you.
Yes, there's a way it directly affects you or causes you a loss or a damage. But people have said, look, yes, formalizator, somebody says, okay, maybe on the issue of national interest, but in many cases, it's not enough to say national interest is the reason why you have gone to court. But let's even look at section 225 of PME.
Because that's what this request is being built on.
Made, you know. So section 225 subsection A, 225A, sorry, and it's about the powers of INEC to deregister political parties, and there's a performance threshold. Index, if you are able to do this or this or this or this, you remain registered.
If not able to do deregistered.
Now talks about whether registration breach. The first one is whether in the process of registration there was a problem, and that's why I'm telling the NDC
to still be careful.
Remember that the NDC was
registered on court order. In fact, if you go to INEC website today, if you check the ESCO of NDC, they will say by court order. National chairman by court order, secretary by court order.
Which means that there could still be a legal mumbo jumbo somewhere that
in the process of their registration.
The INEC is still affirming the fact that
they've not registered them.
Is because
of courts,
gave
not that we registered you.
And then you have the ADA still asking why they were not registered and the NDC was registered. And that look, I will be in court on this matter. The INEC must come and explain how the NDC scaled through
and the ADA not allowed.
So we don't know where that will end.
But I'm sure it's a matter that will still come up.
But how it will come up, we don't know. And that's why we must be unanimous in condemning any form of judicial rascality, whether it affects you or not. Because if it doesn't affect you today, it may affect you tomorrow. And that's why you can see that even Mr. Peter Obi condemned this judgment. You know, he gave his own, yes, he condemned this Peter Lifu's judgment. Because he knows that it's not about me. We have to fight for this democracy by saying that the right things be done in our courts. Now, so if there's a registration breach, and INEC has not talked about any registration breach as far as these parties are concerned, then the main issue is the performance during an election. You know, so poor electoral performance. And these are the issues. There are about 4 options or 4 conditions under electoral performance. So one is failure to win at least 25% of the votes
across the state.
One state in a presidential election. During the presidential election, one of the conditions, and the other ones are alternatives, is did you even win 25% of the votes in any of the states?
No.
That's one condition. If you don't have that, okay, there's a second option for you. The second option is, did you win one local government in a governorship election? If you don't have that, okay, what about, and that is under what they call the lack of legislative or elected representatives, were you able to win a ward?
During
just one ward in a chairmanship election. That's at the local government election. Did you win one ward? Or one seat in the National Assembly or State House of Assembly? Do you have a senator? Do you have a reps member? Or do you have a State House of Assembly member, even if it's just one? Or the seat of a councillor, just one councillor? So you saw that for you to remain a political party,
you had they were like they brought it to the at least one.
At least one. And I said, you know what? You know, in some of our elections, some of these elections come staggered. We have off-cycle elections. So
we have by-elections.
It is only INEC. Because again, apart from the 2023 general elections, we've had some other elections. And INEC has not at any time come out to say these parties did not meet these registration thresholds of why they should
be
remain.
Deregistered.
And they are the ones that can say,
by the
all
power,
evidence and the powers vested on them. They have the results. They have, in fact, they are the ones who have what it takes to really check whether these parties have met these things or not. Because to do the calculation, you must have enough evidence as supplied to you by INEC. But we have a party that we can use as a model to see why a judge will go this way.
Rogue.
Go rogue completely. An example is the ADC. Are we saying the ADC in 2023 did not fulfill any of these conditions? Abejide
He's a reps member on the platform of the ADC from Kogi State.
On the platform of the ADC.
In Kogi?
In Kogi State. And he was not even the only one. That one. There was this representative from Borno State too. That represents Damboa, Goza, Chibok Federal constituency. Also from the ADC. His name is Honorable Ahmed Jaha. So the ADC, if you look at the breakdown, before defection,
that was even before defection. Let's even say all the senators they have now did not win on the election.
House of Reps.
Exactly.
Just because, you know, so I'm looking at the ADC now. As at 2023, at the conclusion of the general elections in 2023,
at least out of those 5 provisions, they met one. They have reps members.
Which is look, the idea is even that even if you have one councillor,
you're out of that. So you're out.
As at 2023, by the time we concluded general elections, APC had 162 House of Reps members. PDP had 102 House of Reps members. The Labour Party had 34. NNPP had 18. ABGA 4. ADC 2. SDP 2. YPP 1. So, how did the ADC
fall into this category?
Now, there's another argument. Does defection
count?
Now, can we now say because
Accord Party now have a governor? let's even use the most popular one. Accord Party now have a governor.
Okay.
Does it count in their favor?
I'm coming. So it could be in both ways now, in the negative and in the positive. So let us even use the ADC as an example. The 2 House of Reps members now defected to the APC. Does it now mean they did not win anything in 2023? Because the people that won on their platform have defected. Can you say, okay, because those 2 have defected to the APC,
that means they did not win the election?
They did not win any seat in 2023. If you say yes, okay, what about people who won in another party who have now defected to their party?
ADC, does it count?
They now have more people.
Does it count?
Okay, should it count for them? If you say, okay, people that won on their platform because they defected can no longer count for them, will say they didn't win anything. But they've also received, in fact, they received more people
than they had in the 2023 election.
So can it count for them? Are you going to say, well, Accord Party 2 can be considered a party who won a governorship seat because there's somebody who is a current governor who is not in the party? So again, we say these things so that people will understand that, look, we have to be very careful. And I know that in the judiciary, I'm not a lawyer, and I spoke with a lot of lawyers. You see that sometimes judgments come, they call it doctrine of necessity. Sometimes, even, they say, well, the court of law is not a court of emotions. But sometimes, you see our judges delivering judgment on the mood of the nation.
Of course.
I'll give you one very good example. I know people who are older than us. When the Awolowo-Shagari matter became a problem, you remember the 2/3 of 19. And there was almost impossible for you to have a calculation of 2/3 of 19 on people.
On the people. They don't want to use roots. They don't use ruler to measure. How do you want to do it?
How do you want to do 2/3 of 19 on human beings? But you saw that at the end of the day, because the country needed to move forward, a decision was made on that matter, not necessarily because it was mathematically possible, but the precedence was that sometimes, we just need to move forward as a people, and the judgment was delivered. Look, even if you look at the judgment of the Supreme Court on the local government autonomy, you will see that our extant laws does not necessarily back that judgment. But that judgment, because the same Supreme Court had ruled in favor of governors before, when President Muhammadu Buhari, through an executive order, was trying to guarantee local government autonomy to pay them directly. You know, he came up with I think executive order 53 or something, and the governors took him to court
and challenged
and the Supreme Court said no, he had no such powers. That the joint account is what is recognized by the Constitution. You cannot pay them directly.
And then when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu,
and that was the same Supreme Court. But when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu went to the court on the same matter, we had not amended our Constitution to remove joint account. But the Supreme Court ruled that you cannot pay them directly.
And nothing happened.
And so you know that sometimes these things are not as straightforward as we may appear to look at it. And people have said that if we're going to be looking at this issue on this matter, if INEC had been granted powers to deregister parties who are not able to meet election performance thresholds. We did this election 2023, 2024, 1 year after. 2025, 2 years after.
2 years and a half
3 years after. The same INEC allowed these parties to participate in all their processes.
Did the primaries,
monitored everything. So INEC had even set timetable for elections. A governorship election will be happening
this Saturday. Then on Monday.
And so you have a situation where elections have already been done, campaigns have been done, and then a judge will not understand that sometimes you apply your common sense. Because at the end of the day, you must also look at what the safety of the country. You must also look at national interest.
That your judgment, what can it trigger?
These things have been done severally, where judgments have come for the sake of national interest. I even remember when some of the governors went to court on the matter of change of currency and what have you. That matter was entertained by the Supreme Court on national interest.
That was prior to the 2023 election.
So, so that is why this is and it should be condemned by all, because this could have set the country on fire. And I keep telling people who think, oh, we have people now say nothing can happen. To them, nothing can ever happen. But the experiments that failed in the past, it was the same position that nothing will happen. And people can go and fact check me or read more on this. Every time we had a democratic experiment that failed, it is either there's a judicial pronouncement or a legislative attempt to amend the constitution that causes the trouble.
Nothing triggers faster than that.
It's in between.
It's a direct slap.
People go and check 4th, 3rd Republic that failed. In between, before whatever came as the last straw that will break the camel's back. There would have been people going to court to go, and judges aligning with those people to cause problem, either in their pronouncements, in their order or judgments, or an attempt by the Assembly or the National Assembly to want to tweak with the laws. So it is always like the foundation to how the thing eventually collapses. And that's why we're saying that, look, we have to understand that, look, this democracy is on just one leg. Even the leg don't even stand, it just a shake. Forget what the politicians are saying. They will always grandstand. That's why we always give the analogy of the sinking Titanic. That even at the point where they were sinking, some people were just starting to organize parties because they never believed it would sink until the reality dawned on them. And I see democracy as the Titanic. It's sinking. And we need to wake up. We need to wake up to that reality and beg our judges. I've seen people who argue, why would you say Wike should not build houses for judges? Why would you? And, on the basis of what you call vested interest, some of these things are not good. Some of these things, the optics look very, very bad. But again, I know our politicians will never listen. They don't care. Until when they are also on the other side.
And then they will
now begin to condemn.
But while you were there, you didn't find any reason for you to disassociate yourself
from those things. Because again, whether we like it or not, you are leaders of political parties with cases before these judges. A Wike today, even though he's a member of the Rainbow Coalition,
he's still a member of a political party.
He's a leader of a major political party.
True.
This is a political party that would eventually have cases or that have ongoing cases.
And that some of these judges would have to attend to those cases.
So when you get to the point of advantage and you say, we are just building judiciary, you build quarters for them.
Change their vehicles.
God knows, maybe you are even changing their wardrobes and buying clothes for them. At least what we know is what we know. You are already putting them in a very tight corner. For some of them, it's just normal. Okay, it's just normal. And that's why we're saying that why can't we have a judiciary that is truly independent, not administratively alone or constitutionally independent, but financially independent? Why don't you have whatever you want to do for them captured in the budget?
So that it won't be like you're doing them a favor.
You see, we are talking about common sense here. Why do you want to be at the center of these things for our judges? understanding that, look, the judges must be far and above. They must be seen above board. They must convince Nigerians that they are indeed.
So the minister will now present keys to this apartment to judges.
To judges.
To judges. An anti-politician.
These were things we never saw before this madness started. At least, we are not that. Look, Okoyemi, when we were small, and I think people who are older than us can bear us witness, for you to see a judge, they were seen as because
untouchable. You don't
even go near them. They don't even attend parties anyhow because of the delicate nature of their job, Okoyemi. Because at the end of the day, if everything fails, you are coming there.
Yes.
And they are
and they
the
have
ones,
to hold
and that
the
is why you see
fiber
that
of this
the lady
country
justice
is blind.
It's deliberate to show that, you know what,
I don't
don't see you, whether you are PDP. You must not even, you come in as neutral. You come in as equal.
But that neutrality has been checked over and over
again. The temple of justice must be seen to be there to do justice for everyone and anyone that comes before it. But where is the neutrality today, Okoyemi? And that is why you see our judges giving very embarrassing, ridiculous judgments, contradictory. Were we not in this country when the CTC of a judgment was completely
different from the one that
was read out on the matter? We say it doesn't matter. Were we not in this country when a retiring senator
was saying that his wife,
doing a valedictory speech,
out of excitement,
said, I'm excited, but I have to go and I have to go and apologize to my wife. As the head of the appeal court, all of you came to me and you benefited from me putting pressure on my wife to favor you
in your judgment.
All of you, before the then Senate president, this road where you go,
you go crash.
Are you say the distinguished senator? What are you saying? Because if you don't say that, how?
But you said it.
He said it,
and nothing was done.
Did we probe it?
Nothing was done.
Did we? Look, the man, that's an old man. He was not drunk when he was saying it.
And he's a ranking senator.
Senator Adamu Bukachua. One thing I would do before God and man is to go and apologize to my wife. And I'm sure there's a reason why he told Nigerians. But we didn't pay attention to it. Even though we paid attention, who bailed the cat? People were not interested.
And the people that benefited are the ones that are supposed to investigate
themselves, So we were also in this country, Okoyemi. I have the soundbite where a retired justice of the Supreme Court, Senator Amina Oge, that's her name, called our attention to the fact that, you know what? After the Peter Obi situation and Ngigi in Anambra, the politicians have discovered how valuable, how useful the courts are to winning elections. They now understood that if you cannot win through the ballot,
you can win through the courts.
You can win through the courts. And what did they do? They've infiltrated the judiciary. The infiltration, according to how they've positioned their family members, wives, children, friends,
members of
ones,
the senior bench,
associates, get them as judges. That never used to be the situation. But go and check. But I add to what she has said that the infiltration is now also coming in the form of building houses, buying cars for judges. Because it is just a common sense thing. I give you a palatial mansion as a governor.
It's not like when you retire, you move out to it is yours permanently.
I don't even know what they are.
No, that's it. It's a permanent residence.
They might even sign it up for them because they're already staying in it.
It's a permanent residence.
I think they used to do that to legislators too at some point. I don't know where
it's a permanent residence.
So if you see these things and the same person who has done all this has
an interest,
whether you like it or not, you've built what we can call a very questionable relationship.
And aside from the houses being delivered, they are not just the house; they are fully furnished.
We just saw one fully furnished to take. And the argument is, our judges we should take care of them. Let them take care of themselves.
It's just moving. You don't
understand?
Did the president not just increase their salary by 300% in 2024?
I'm not even saying we should not take care of our judges. We should. In fact, it's very important. But can we have a situation where, you see, people need to go and read about what we call perception. Because again, it's about you understanding these things. Go and read up. And when we talk about democracies that function, those are the guardrails that they impute into their democracy so that there's that checks and balances. The people that created checks and balances in a democracy, were they crazy? That there must be 3 levels of government and one under the doctrine of separation of power must check the other. The people that talked about the independence of the legislature, executive and judiciary, were they crazy? Because they know that, look, there's a thin line between democracy and autocracy. A very thin line. You might think, oh, there are 2 different forms of government. But it's a thin line. The thin line is that, look, those checks, those
the moment you cross them,
immediately you remove them, your democracy becomes authoritarian government.
Free fall.
Once you begin to have an executive that is overbearing, an executive that can get anything passed within 24 hours in a legislature, you are not using democracy, you are wasting your time. Once you begin to have a democracy where the executive can have a bill passed without it being debated, let anybody come and argue with me that that's a democracy. Because the doctrines of checks and balances and separation of power are the pillars, the fundamental pillars and guardrails for any functional democracy. What do we have today? That's the National Assembly. Where you have members say, this thing, they didn't even debate it. The thing just 24 hours. You have a National Assembly where the Senate President will tell you that any bill that is coming, so far it's coming from the President, it's just...
They are singing the anthem of the President.
Whereas, the people we borrow this democracy from, go and see when they do congressional hearings, when they perform their oversight functions at committee levels, the way they hold members of the executive to account, when they grill ministers, secretaries of government, the way they take them up. And when we started seeing people defecting in the National Assembly, look at how robust
after the election
in 2023.
Yes.
Let us even use the House of Reps alone.
The PDP had over 100.
102.
Oh.
Look, as at that time, the APC, if you look at this calculation, they cannot just get things done without lobbying the opposition. If you look at the figures, because by the time you add the PDP, Labour Party, NMPP, ABGA, ADC, SDP, YPP, they cannot get it.
They cannot, no.
But what did you have before? What do you have now? Everybody has moved to the APC except for a few. Because as at that time, the APC 162, the PDP had 102 House of Reps members. The Labour Party 34. If you understand opposition politics, having 34 House of Reps members in a house that has 360 members is not a joke. But what do we have now? Something happened, everybody kept defecting, and people say it doesn't matter. We even said, okay, we can manage the political shenanigans going in the National Assembly, the legislature. But can our politicians please leave? You want to give me a figure?
No, let's put some figures.
Yes.
So in the last election, that after 2023 election, tell me what APC had with what you have in front of you side forward.
APC had 162 House of Reps.
APC had 162 as of today. The 17th of June 2026, APC has 243.
House of Reps members.
Yes, they have 243 out of 360. So the PDP had 102. Now the PDP as of today now have 74.
74.
The Labour Party had how many? 36.
34.
As of today, they have 19.
19.
The NMPP had how many?
18.
Now they have 15. The ABGA had 5 today. How many do they have then?
ABGA had 4. Then.
Okay, now they have 5. They've gained 1 seat. The ADC had 2. Right? Okay. And the SDP and all of that. So the 2 is gone. The 2 is gone. So the new ADC position in the reps now, as of today, now the ADC now have 29
in the House of
Reps
by people who are
the people that are defected into the party. They had 2
before.
Those 2 left. They went to the APC. Then after the wave of the campaign, now they have 29. But that doesn't even matter compared to what APC had from 162 to 243. So the APC, as of today, controls this majority in the Senate and the reps. So they don't need voice votes. They have the absolute majority now.
So the minority does not really exist, because with or without the other opposition political parties, they can get things done easily. And so we say, look, if you look at what has happened with the legislature, you would expect that, look, at least one leg out of the three
should stand firm.
And
that is expected to be the judiciary.
The judiciary that we call the last hope of the common man.
Because they're not supposed to be political.
But what have you seen? And they say it does not matter. They will tell you it does not matter. But we know it matters. And that's why I've said people should go and read. When we say perception, sometimes is even bigger than reality. We know what we are saying. You know, when they give you, they say, it is not you seen to have delivered justice. You must be seen
to have delivered justice.
So the sin is even that, look, in whatever you've done, even if you think it's about delivering justice, the people too must be convinced. The perception
must be
positive. Be there. You must do everything to show that, look, you have seen to have it. But they say it does not matter. Every day we have it on TV or at building houses. You know, the last time we saw judges standing like Omoléke, and then you had one person giving them car keys.
To judges.
Why don't you give them a budget? Why can't the NJC, for example, be in charge of it? In fact, the worst that can happen is that you have the office of the Chief Justice of the Federation. Can we have budgets where they can superintend over some of these funds and ensure that these things are provided? You can make budgetary provisions for it.
So that doesn't look like you're doing them a favor.
But they say it doesn't matter. So we like the fact that the appeal court has stepped in on this matter. We'll look at where it all ends. But we have to say the way it is. We are in very unfortunate times. The situation is frightening. We are hoping that this madness does not go beyond what we have. We are hoping that our politicians understand that, look, as we battle insecurity, hardship, poverty, lack of medical facilities, adequate medical facilities, lack of quality schools, the fact that we've chosen to remain a democratic nation
must be held in high esteem.
They must not take advantage of our decision. Because what I see is that our politicians are taking advantage of the decision of Nigerians to remain a democratic state. Because Nigerians are desperate to remain a democratic nation.
Like no matter what happens, we have to sustain the democracy.
If Nigerians are that desperate and insisting that we must remain a democratic nation, can we have our politicians behave more responsibly to understand that, look, sometimes we might get to the point where
we lose it.
The patience will be lost. Because what I see is them taking advantage of the patience of Nigerians, the resilience of Nigerians,
and the commitment of Nigerians to democracy, especially those that knew where we were coming from.
The SDP man made a statement that I saw recently. I think my Sarkozy shared the video with me, where he said his own appeal to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not for him to create a situation where politicians win elections, but the people have lost the election. Yes, INEC announces results that affirms victory for politicians, but a loss for the people.
And that would be a very major missing point, as long as the people continue to trust the electoral system, and then it puts a lot of checks on certain SSCs, especially those that we cannot afford at the moment. I've always said it. The independence of INEC and the judiciary will continue to be questioned as long as we have an arm of government that is supposed to be independently, operating on its own, approving their payments. So the president would come and increase the salary of the judges by 300%, and then the minister of the FCT, working under the same president, will build houses for them, hand them over key in ceremonious manner, change their vehicles. It calls into question the thorough objectivity and independence of some of these individuals. But again, I will continue to speak truth to the system so that we know that people are watching and people will ask questions at the end of the day. Well, let's get up into the second one, side forward. Build up to the 2023 election, especially after the primaries of the PDP, the fallout, Wike, Aminu Tambuwa, Atiku Abubakar, and all of those people, there were words that 3 names were recommended for Atiku Abubakar to be his running mate. First one, top on that list, is the current FCT minister, that's Barrister Nyesom Wike, right? Second on that list, there were rumors that Donald Duke was also listed to be Atiku's running mate, right? But before then, Nyesom Wike had come out and said that he does not want to be vice president, that he did not contest to be vice president, he did not contest to be this, he did not contest to be that. Do you understand?
I'm with you.
But at the end of the day, the choice of Senator Ifeanyi Okowa as the running mate to Atiku Abubakar shocked a lot of people. First off, Ifeanyi Okowa, the governor then of Delta State, wasn't exactly known across the country in terms of popularity, in terms of influence. He served 1 term in the Senate, left the Senate, went to be governor for 8 years. Nobody really knew where it was coming from, compared to a Wike that can pull all of the energy around you. Compared to Donald Duke, that is being respected as one of the best governors of his, of his set, and is still someone that still, speaks some element of truth within the system. But Atiku picked Ifeanyi Okowa. There were rumors that it could be because of the financial capability of the then Delta State governor to fund the election. We knew the fallout. When Peter Obi picked Ahmed Dati, a lot of people were questioning that Dati Baba Ahmed he did less than 2 years in the Senate and the court removed him. What political value does he bring to a joint ticket? And then we saw the outcome of the election. I don't know how much Baba Ahmed brought to the Peter Obi's ticket. I don't know how much. I don't know how much Ifeanyi Okowa brought to the Atiku Abubakar ticket compared to what maybe Rabi Musa Kwakwasa will have brought to the Peter Obi ticket or Wike will have brought to the Atiku ticket. But you and I know what the current Vice President VP Shettima brought to the Tinubu ticket, especially from the zone where the VP is coming from, former senator, former governor of Borno State. So the choice of running mate in every election is so important that sometimes deputies have bigger influence even than their principal. Let's quickly make a short trip to Edo State. When Godwin Obaseki was governor, there was a certain deputy governor, Philip Shuaibu, is not just popular, he's also young, accepted within the space. In fact, as at that time, he was playing as a registered footballer with a Bender Insurance in the Nigerian Premier League. That is how accepted he was amongst, especially the younger population.
That's true.
And when the issue started falling out, Philip Shuaibu said, listen, I hold the same number of votes, if not more, than you on this ticket. Yes, I would not play the role of a spare tire. And things fell apart. He was obviously gunning for the seat of his principal. Meanwhile, Aswa Godalo was the candidate of his principal. So there was a major fallout. He was impeached. They were reinstated. His office was moved from the office from where it's supposed to be to one isolated area in the GRA in Benin. There were a lot of issues. Now, Atiku Abubakar had made the choice, vis-a-vis the ADC had made the choice of Rotimi Amechi. In terms of political profiling, Amechi is not a small fry. Former governor in Rivers State, one of the richest states in the country. Former speaker of the, in fact, as at the time he was in the House of Assembly in Rivers State, he was still pursuing his law degree in London. So it's not a child's play when it comes to the political conversation in Nigeria here. He served 2 terms as the House of Assembly member, did 2 terms as a governor side forward. From there, he was a minister for 7 years and 4 months under Muhammadu Buhari, one of the most influential ministers in that cabinet, alongside the likes of Fashola and a few other people. He contested for the seat of the presidency under the APC. He came second, defeating the sitting vice president along the line. So if you look at that profile, he's not a child in terms of political conversation in this country. But when it comes to general election side forward, you would expect that your running mate should have influence across bases. And the reason why you don't run a joint ticket from the same zone is that you can leverage on your running mate's popularity in the other zone. Atiku is from the north. A southerner, Amaechi should be able to give me millions to, balance what I'm, because all of the major political parties in Nigeria right now, they're giving their ticket to the south. So Atiku is banking on the block votes that will come from the north, because only the ADC that is choosing a northerner as their presidential candidate. What does Rotimi Amaechi? You'd have to look at Rivers first. You look at even his local government. You look at the powers that be in Rivers State, to the point that a sitting APC governor pulled out of the primaries, and the primaries of the APC in that state was won by Honorable Chinda, the minority leader in the House. He contested that primaries, won the primaries of the APC. A month later, it was announced that he had resigned from the PDP. So as at the time he was contesting that primaries in the APC in Rivers State, he was officially still a member of the APC.
Well, I've seen people who have said, the announcement of your resignation from a party
does not mean that was when it happened.
That it could have happened. That was your ceremony.
But you and I know that when members want to resign, you know that themselves even make it public, even before the leadership reads it out.
One is that there are no rules that says the resignation must happen right there on the floor.
Whatever even happened in that system,
yes.
The fact that a non-leading opposition figure, the leader of the opposition in the House of Representatives,
took the ticket of the party
against a sitting governor that had the ambition. The governor picked up the ticket,
but he don't eventually run
because he had to stay on the eve of the election. He said for the interest of the state. So what I'm trying to say is that in that state, that's the same place where Rotimi Amaechi came from. And Wike had said, side forward now, Wike was the investor of Port Harcourt last week to deliver a lecture. The chairman of the APC knelt beside Wike and was giving Wike a drink. That's the chairman of the APC in Rivers. Wike had said there's no APC, there's no PDP, that they have a coalition family.
And everybody wants to become anything.
If you don't belong into that family, you don't have a political feature in the state. So, as it is right now, Rivers State is not even in the control of a sitting governor. Not talk of the control of a former governor.
As it is, they don't have a governor.
Do you understand?
Yeah, they just have a figurehead.
So, you would expect at least, if you are my running mate, you should be able to deliver your home. In 2023, Peter Obi won Delta. And that is where Atiku's running mate, Okowa, was as a sitting governor. He lost his state. What does Amaechi bring to the Atiku Abubakar ticket? And if you look at the composition of the ADC side forward, let even say Atiku want to pick a southerner. Is Amaechi the most, or the man that fits that bill for Atiku Abubakar?
Honestly, it's a very difficult question when you're asking me. Number one, I'm not a member of the ADC. I am not Atiku. I don't know what he's saying that we are not saying. I think on the first instance, my own analysis, the choice of Rotimi Amaechi is Atiku trying not to make the same mistake he made before 2023 when he had all the options to choose Nyesom Wike as his running mate. Wike had lost to him. Even though Wike had bragged that he would never be a vice president. He was not contesting to be a running mate. Whoever wins the primaries, I will support. We have enough facts to show that Wike was on the sidelines waiting for Atiku to pick him as running mate.
Yes.
In fact, there are enough reports, enough evidence to show that, look, he was just waiting. And if you remember, as at the time people were waiting for Atiku to make a choice of a running mate, the APC had already started talking to Wike. Well, you saw that even when they sent delegations to him, there was something Wike said, no, I am still waiting for them to make some correction. He said he still left the window open, but indirectly he was talking then about the chairman of the party.
Yes.
But we all knew
there was the VP conversation somewhere.
The VP thing was the main thing. So,
of course,
if you remember, Wike said he left the window open for Atiku and his people who are then taking over the party to do the needful. So he was just wasting. Now that's why when they keep selling this narrative of Wike should have gone to the south, Wike fairness and justice. If Wike had been chosen by Atiku as running mate, he would not have been saying south or whatever. So it was just his personal interest. But Atiku, God knows, because he said people suggested Wike to him.
He will stop on that list.
They brought that even when the committee or the caucus within the party that was given the responsibility to nominate a running mate for him.
Wike was stopped on
that list had Wike as number one on the list. But for whatever reason, there are people who have said, oh, maybe Atiku felt Wike was going to be disruptive, was going to be too difficult to control. Such an overambitious man was going to be problematic as a VP and all that. But whatever it is, he decided to go for Ifeanyi Okowa. If you remember at that time, we questioned that political decision. There are two decisions he made that we kept questioning, if you remember. The first one was when Wike was insisting that Yocha Ayu should step down as the chairman of the party. And I remember I kept saying, oh, can't Atiku tell Ayu for the sake of peace,
step down,
so that you don't give Wike anything to say again, step down.
Step down.
They didn't do it. I remember I used to use the word jokingly then that, is Ayu not beggable? Can't Atiku go and tell you?
Did you not say close the door off camera, prostrate and say,
this
please,
man is saying you are the problem. Can we
anything you want? Let's win election first. I will give you anything you want. Step down.
Number one. Number two.
You are even better as the chairman of a party that is ruling. Or a former chairman. You will talk better.
If Wike says the party will scatter,
let's give him.
Let's just concede to him. Let's just swallow our pride. When we win the election, we'll sort the matter. The second one was Wike as an option to Atiku as a running mate. Yes, we know Wike can be very disruptive. We know Wike as a running mate would be a problem to anybody who is his principal. But if Atiku plays it on Wike and chooses him as a running mate and they win the presidency, can a VP, Atiku as president, would he not be able to claim the wings of Wike?
Are you serious? Atiku is one of the, if not the most experienced politician we have in this country today.
So what was the thing about Ifeanyi Okowa? That Atiku did not understand that a man a lawyer or no katwafa bofediye. What you do is to stoop to conquer. Once you are, you see, until you have the power. Why not play the politics? You knew Wike wanted the VP, give it to him. Once you become the president, you can clip his wings. That's why today, as the president, the VP cannot. The VP dare not.
Go and ask Prof. The few days he was president when Buhari was away.
But you know, for our politicians, most times when they choose a running mate, there are about 4 or 5 considerations. It's either they are looking at religious consideration or we need to balance this ticket, especially in states where religion is an integral part of how they play politics. You know, in many of our states, you cannot joke with the idea of religion. There's still a state in Nigeria today that if you are not from a Christian sect, you cannot become a governor in that state.
In fact, the Christian sect even have factions. Either you are this or you are this, but you have to be a Christian.
You must be a Christian one, and then you must be from a particular sect of Christianity.
Yes, now.
And that from 1999
it's been like that till today.
So for people think religion.
So being a Christian does not even guarantee you the seat.
So in some states, I'm not saying in that state, but in some states, you cannot overlook the religious considerations.
There are some states where you cannot even be Speaker of the House of Assembly if you are not Christian. Speaker, not even Deputy or Governor. Speaker.
So when you see running mates, sometimes it's always done to balance the ticket. We have only seen in rare cases where, and if it's not to balance the ticket, it might be to also sell a narrative, push a narrative. Up till today, maybe when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu decides to write a book,
he will tell us how he sold the Muslim ticket.
And why he has always attempted a Muslim ticket. In fact, when Buhari was going to come, if he had been the running mate to Buhari, it would have still been a Muslim ticket. But it was him thinking, oh, let's just stoop to conquer, conceding for Pastor Shibaju to come in when there was this noise about Muslim
and then you now came in to eventually run on the Muslim ticket.
It must have been that as a person, he has something about the idea of running on a Muslim ticket.
Or perhaps he's just thinking leadership should not be about religion.
Well, as I'm saying, but maybe one day when he writes a book,
tell us why.
He may explain. Then you have ethnic considerations too. Your ethnicity, do you want to balance the equation? What are they saying? Oh, you are from South, okay, in the state, or in the, can we? That's why in Nigeria you have a situation where you cannot have the VP and the president coming from the same region. At least there's that ethnic and regional consideration. The other one, which is also very key, is the financial consideration. We want to run this election, we'll get money. Do you have the money? There are people who said Atiku went for Okowa because Okowa was a governor of one of the oil-rich states. And so it would have helped significantly in pushing the campaigns forward.
But Wike was also the governor of Rivers State.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know what article the people. Again, for the sake of this conversation, I will advise people, if anybody is close to Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, there's one person he should take away from people who move around with him.
Dino Melaye.
Dino Melaye. You cannot have a Dino Melaye around you.
And you take it serious.
Wise political decision. No, not even taking you serious is not. If as part of your think tank, as part of the people thinking for you,
and Dino is prominent in that circle,
and in that circle is a Dino Melaye as a prominent member.
No, it's not.
And that is why some of us are saying maybe that's why Atiku keeps making unforced errors politically. That's a conversation for another day. And then you have political considerations, and then sometimes gender. In Lagos, we've seen that experimentation of having, except for Sanwo-Olu and Hamzat. We always had this idea of let it be a woman. Even when Governor Tinubu then came, it was Koforola-Bokno before they fell apart. I think Fashola too came with a woman.
There was Sarah Shoson for Fashola. Then there was Madame Morelupe as well.
Then you had body with Adebule, and then except for this.
Now even the APC running mate now is another woman.
Sometimes the gender balance thing, and you see that in Ogun State they've done that same thing. In many states too, you have a situation where they just pick women at least to create that gender balance. But for the value Rotimi Amaechi brings to the table, there's one value that we cannot take away from him, the financial value.
But he said he's hungry.
Which hungry?
He told us he's hungry.
He does. You and I know he's
Rotimi Amaechi is broke. He's broke.
Look at his political. It can't be.
He told us he's hungry.
He's wasting his time by telling us he's hungry. Nobody will believe.
Who should I believe? You or Amaechi? Somebody told me to my face that he's hungry. You said I should not believe him.
Let me tell you. I told a few people some months ago, or maybe years ago, to go and read the poem Building the Nation. The poem Building the Nation. I've forgotten the poet now. And it was about the permanent secretary and the master, the permanent secretary and the driver, Building the Nation. So it was about a driver driving a permanent secretary who is a politician. So they went to a function. And so the driver stayed back in the car, but at a point where he could hear and see what they were doing at that meeting. And so after the meeting, the poet described what the driver had seen.
That's Henry Ballo.
Yeah, Henry Ballo, Building the Nation. And so the driver said, they were just enjoying, the normal meetings of our politicians now, there's enough wine, enough food, the way they laugh, basically just faffing around. So after the whole thing, they were on their way home. And obviously the driver has seen that, this my guy don't chop well, the man is tired.
I didn't say motor.
So when they were going home, the PS decided to engage the driver. Maybe he didn't want to sleep. Which is a good driver, and so he asked the guy, did you even eat anything? I was asking the driver. I was saying, so a guy is telling me I did not do, I was just in the car, starving. I said, well, we have been so busy discussing state issues. It's been a very tough one. He kept yawning. Obviously tired from all the merrymaking and what have you. But at the end of the poem, the driver said both of them, because the man that both of them got home with stomach pain. But the reason for the stomach pain
is different.
The driver had a stomach pain from not eating anything.
The other had stomach upset for
eating
overfeeding.
Too much. So if Rotimi Amaechi says he's hungry, his hunger is coming from being overfed. Sometimes when you have too much to eat,
you don't even know which one you want to eat.
So you start to feel hungry. His own is not from want or because he doesn't have. If he's hungry, it's because there's too much on the table for him.
He doesn't even know which one to eat.
So he decides that I will not even eat anything.
Let me wait.
He's just confused. There's enough for him to eat. There's enough money for him to take care of himself. Or maybe he's just being sarcastic or mocking the pains and suffering of Nigeria.
Or maybe he's trying to be a part of us.
He cannot be a part of us by mocking us, by telling us he's hungry. How can he be hungry? You just read out his political profile. The journey. Is it from being speaker for 8 years? From being a governor for 8 years? From being a super minister?
Top minister.
For 8 years. Uninterrupted. And then the man tells you he's hungry. It's two things, whether he's mocking us or just trying to tell us that I'm not really hungry.
No, but we had the I Had No Shoe campaign in 2010, 2011.
We fell for it, and we paid dearly for it.
So we can actually fall for this one as well.
I think Nigerians are wiser now. And I think that Nigerians now know that if politicians go on the street eating corn, plaiting women's hair, telling us they had no shoes or they are hungry.
Cypher, Nigerian politicians are funny.
Yeah, no, they are funny.
Extremely funny people. I remember one scenario, our blessed memory, our late Senator Buruji Kashamu, during the second coming of Fayose. Remember, it was removed at some point. The state of emergency was declared. Then he came back, to contest against Kayode Fayemi, right there in Ekiti. Fayose and Senator Buruji Kashamu went to eat pounded yam. There's a place they call Falegon. That's where some of the banks are in Ado-Ekiti. Anyone that knows Ado-Ekiti very well. So there's a popular booker that I know that place very well. Fayose and Kashamu went to eat pounded yam. So Fayose, I can't name the brand of the drink. That was what they used to wash hand. And so they ate amongst the people. We've seen Rotimi Amaechi plate air now. We've seen when the good was still going between Senator Madam Soshiomole and Godwill Obaseki eating corn on the road, buying pear, the one they call ube on the street. So if Rotimi Amaechi comes to tell us he's hungry, we felt for Jonathan's I had no shoe in 2010-2011 campaign. Millions of people voted for his simplicity and which is sold for us. I mean, Amaechi could also be pulling up the numbers, but put that on one side forward. All things being equal, let's agree that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will still return the same ticket with the VP Shettima. Then you look at the wave that Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso will bring to the KO ticket of the NDC.
Or the OK ticket.
Or the OK ticket, rather. Does Amaechi stand in the league of those running mate spaces? Kashim Shettima for Tinubu, Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso for Peter Obi, Amaechi for Atiku. Can the three of them dwell on the same capacity of their running mates? That's what I want us to find out.
I think Atiku will run majorly on his own strength of having a very solid political base in the north. In the south, my own thinking, Atiku will struggle like he struggled in 2023, because I don't think Rotimi Amaechi has what it takes to do anything significant for him in the south.
Can he win a state?
For him in the south.
Atiku. Can Rotimi Amaechi deliver reverse for Atiku?
He cannot. He cannot. That I would say I can bet on that. He cannot. Because Rivers, if we conduct a free, fair, credible election, would be a battle between President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Mr. Peter Obi. You know that the last time out too, there are still questions as to whether
Obi won the state or not.
And you know, Obi in his recent statement said
he won the election, but when the time is up,
he said that every presidential candidate, apart from Musa Kwankwaso, all won 12 states, and that's the truth. That he believes he won 14 states. That although they declared 12 for him, that 2 was stolen from him.
That's Rivers and
he didn't say the 2 states. He said,
but he most recently was on a podcast with I think about 24 hours ago, where he said no, he didn't mention it. But he said he won the 2023 election, and when the time is up, he will reveal it.
Maybe when he writes a book. I'm just saying that he has said that look, they all got 12 states, even though the margins were quite a bit substantial. But what he's saying is that in his own estimation, his own monitoring, and his own calculation of what transpired in 2023, he won 14 states. That 2 states were stolen from him. So people can begin to guess what are the 2 states. And most likely, I think a Rivers, one of the states he's talking about. But the question is, what would have been the margin in Rivers? And then I don't know which other state he's talking about. But he said 2 states were stolen from him, and I would have been 14 states.
No, there was the case of the FCT, whether 25%, whether it was a state's value.
But he eventually won the FCT. It was just about 25%. But he won the FCT. President Tinubu struggled to get 25%. But that did not really matter because Abuja was seen as one of the states, just as one of the states. So if I look at it, Rotimi Amaechi, the only value I think he will give to the Atiku ticket is financial value. Because whether you like it or not, I don't know. But I think the political machinery of Atiku will not be as solid financially as it used to be. It's been
consistently spending this money.
I know with politics, once you are not in power,
there's no pool where you are fetching from.
Governors you are controlling that can suspend projects and fund your election.
Let's give you 1 billion.
So we've seen all manner of things where they say some governors are the one funding some people will not go there. So financially, I think Rotimi Amaechi will be solid enough to help the ticket, and I think that Atiku has done this to keep the ADC steady, at least their own faction of the ADC steady. You know, it's a party in crisis. You don't want a second, a running mate, in a presidential primaries, who is already bickering, who is already condemning the process, to go on ahead to say, well, we'll scatter everything. So it was to bring Rotimi Amaechi in, steady the ship of the ADC, which I think he has done. That's their own faction of the party. You remember he also met with Ayatollah, and I'm sure what he would have told him is that, well, I can't use you as running mate, we're from the same region, but don't worry, you play an integral part of my campaign. So I think those two, but beyond that, politically speaking, Rabiu Musa Kwankwanso and Kashim Shettima who had bigger value to their own tickets than Rotimi Amaechi.
Would Rauf Aregbesola, if you're considering the South, not microzone to the south or the south, because Rotimi Amaechi is from the south, not even from the southeast now, and because the ADC Southeast caucus are also asking questions that they've been sidelined in the calculation.
They wanted him to choose a southeasterner.
Yes, but would you think that Rauf Aregbesola could have been a bigger sell
to Atiku? What would have been the...
No, because everybody feels like Atiku Abubakar holding the north, because there's a block space coming from him. He's the only leading candidate from the north as you speak. So you probably want to think that it could play on that tribal sentiment that the southwest is a bigger pool that they want to fish from.
Okay, so the question is, beyond Osun State, where would you call the sphere of influence?
Lagos.
Of where in Lagos?
Alimosho.
I don't think in reality Alimosho still belongs to Ogbeni. That's just.
But we saw the fallout of the primaries in the states.
But whatever it is, you know. Okay, let's look at the running mate. Kashim Shettima, whether you like it or not, is still a man that controls a state.
Or even more.
Or more.
Even more.
At least you know that whether
that
you like
Bronu
it or not, he will deliver
still
Bronu
kill
anytime, any day. Rabiu Musa Kwankwanso has a firm grip on Kano.
Whatever he would lose in Kano, he will gain it from the neighboring states, even if he doesn't have an absolute control of Kano.
He will not be able to deliver Kano. It's going to be, yes, it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a lot of...
The sitting governor, the structures that be...
Who made, look, whether you like it or not, nobody can discountenance the Kwankwansia movement in Kano.
And the funny thing is that his son is now the running mate to Gowna.
To Gowna. So, and you know the way the thing... So to tell you that they are all of the same political family, this was the same Gowna that ran on the platform of the
APC against the sitting governor now. And in fact, he won at the tribunal, but he lost at the Supreme Court.
So it's all... And Gowna will tell you that, look, it's a political protege of Rabiu Musa Kwankwanso in Kano.
And his son is even the running mate. So the father is the running mate for presidency.
And Gida started everything in his life working for Kwankwanso. So
even till today, you can't look at Kwankwanso in the eye and say something against him.
I'm telling you that even his cap, he has not changed it from red. The only thing he has done is that it is red,
logo,
but the logo of the president. So, you know, Kano will be a bit tricky, but I think that at the end of the day, we might see a Kwankwanso still delivering Kano.
And how much of a loss would that be for the APC? They have the former governor of the state, the former national chairman of the party. They have 2 of the 3 senators. Out of the 20-something or so representative, the APC now at the moment controls about 11 of them.
But apart from legislative positions, there are 2 things I think the APC will be looking at to get in Kano. Make good numbers, at least close the gap. Even if Kwankwanso delivers to Obi, can we close the gap like they did in the last election? So we have some reasonable numbers. If we don't win Kano, get 25%. The other one they will be trying to do is to get the governor re-elected. And you and I know that the governorship elections are always completely different from presidential elections. So
totally different.
At the end of the day, whatever happens at the presidential election might not decide who becomes the next governor, whether it's going to be Gowna or the current governor. But at least whatever the APC will want to do and get will be about just getting some good numbers, closing the gap, and having a 25% from Kano, which I think they will get. If you look at the amount of work they've put into Kano, the people who have defected, the deputy Senate president is from Kano.
Yes.
So he is also going to have to pull his weight at the end of the day. But a Kwankwanso, very solid addition to the Obi ticket, whether anybody likes it or not, is going to try and extend his reach beyond Kano, Jigawa, Sokoto, Gombe, and all that. He's
Bauchi.
And whether you like it or not, he's a grassroots man. He's a man that can knock on doors. He can talk to emirs.
He's going to get numbers in Lagos.
In Lagos, you know. So if you look at those running mates against Rotimi Amaechi, And that's why, you know, when politicians do these things, you ask yourself, what are they seeing that we're not seeing? I don't even think Rotimi has built enough political structure to begin to say he wants to be the president of the country. It's not. There are so many former governors who cannot dare say, I want to become a president. For those who give it a try. For example, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we all knew that even while he was governor, he had always positioned himself as someone who
beyond the state
beyond the state he's been getting, although Rotimi Amici too has been busy getting chieftaincy title, getting turban, but it goes beyond that.
Side for leave chieftaincy title.
You know, he's appeared with his turban and all these things, but I think it goes well beyond that. But at the end of the day, financially, it's going to add some value. Politically speaking, I'm not sure. But again, for the sake of keeping the ADC family together, I think that was not a bad choice.
So on a real, is that a win or a loss for Atiku?
It's difficult to say whether it's a win or a loss, but it depends on what you see. It could be, you could see it half full or half empty. I've just told you, if Atiku did not choose Rotimi Amechi as his running mate, there will be more crisis in their faction now. The Amechi I know, with the way he was going after the primaries, he was going to tear the party apart. And I think we just wanted to maintain the peace, and I'm sure he had learned from what happened in the PDP in 2023.
I hope he's done that, because if you look at these numbers, they're very interesting. But let's allow you join us now. Talking about numbers, 09136000410. Let me take it again. In case you're just joining us for the very first time, you're live on Midweek Politics, live on Mainland 98.3 FM would allow you to join us now.
To talk to you, please look at the youth of Nigeria. We are really suffering.
Politics plays its part in everything that defines us as a sovereign entity. Isn't it right to discuss what makes it tick? When the main actors converge in the power corridors to make decisions that affect the next meal, shouldn't we probe even deeper?
Nigeria is suffering. The suffering is too much.
When it comes to the complexities of politics, we strive to give it clarity, to deepen your understanding as the listener.
The decisive factor will be knowledgeable leadership committed to good governance.
Make it a date with Okoyemi and Said Fuad on Midweek Politics every Wednesday from 1 to 3 p.m. on your top dial, Mainland 98.3 FM. Politics, it's a whole meal.
Political enemies, they don't want you to succeed. Have you just realizing that? No matter what I do, they will still abuse me.
Okay, that's how we do it every Wednesday from 1 to 3 p.m. on Mainland 98.3 FM. We bring you issues like this, fact, void of emotions, void of sentiment. We just give you the numbers, we give you the fact and everything you need to know. We call this program the Midweek Politics, but you can also call it investigative journalism on radio every Wednesday on Mainland 98.3 FM. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it's Komoko.
I knew that could be a bit difficult, but let's try and see if you're lucky. A candidate from Ikoton says, wow. I really appreciate your time and fact about the political preparation for Nigeria today. I really appreciate the fact about the criteria for the choice of Rotimi Amechi. In fact, that's a dead on Atiku Abubakar's victory in 2027 that coined a classical presidential election 2027. Amechi controls nothing. His choice is just a consultation for the loss in okay, I'm sure you mean that compensation for the loss in the primaries. ADC can't have 25% in any southern region. This is political classical presidential election 2027. Okay. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, are you hearing me now?
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you.
The judge that said ADC must be registered, he must be grilled and questioned. The people that are discussing to APC because of EFC which was the 2027 election. People that will live to 2027, more money for them.
Comrade Kubuko was struggling to hear you, and I appreciate if you can still call back, but move into a more conducive environment. Great analysis, man. Gentlemen, there's something the government needs to pay attention to. Many commercial motorcycle riders in Lagos are reportedly non-Nigerian citizens, but they come from neighboring countries such as Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Ford and Mr. Okpe agreed too profoundly. Mr. Ford said about the implication of Atiku having the likes of Dinumela in their camp. I'm also saying that President Tinubu should be aware of the likes of Governor Monday Okpebholo of Edo State in his camp. For a certain, President Tinubu would lose Edo State irrespective of whatever Okpebholo is promising him. His own psychophancy is beyond this world and dangerous for Tinubu's re-election because he's offending the sensitivity of families whose loved ones are still in captivity. President Tinubu would also lose Oyo State because Yema Kene would hold his own down, and of course the insecurity situation recently will play a major role. Mr. Okpe, I've now started writing commentaries from personal experiences and research. I'll be sending them to you and Mr. Fuad personally so that I can discuss it once in a while. Okay, thank you very much, James Ogbona from Oshodi. Good afternoon to you, Okpe and Oga Fuad. Kwankwaso would have a good number in Lagos, most especially in Agege. There is Kwankwasia movement in Agege community. That is Rahim from Agege. Yes, I know. When I was in Lagos in 2023, I went to cover the election. It's not even in Agege. From Alabara, go all those axes. Okay, good afternoon to you, Okpe and Fuad. Olamileko Aremu Balogun from Ogbaye Ojoko beside Unity High School, Ogun State. PBAT has used what others can't use to destroy all the political parties. The only state that APC won't win is Osun State because we know where we are going to in Osun. Ekiti will be their level of education. They will still, Ekiti with their level of education will still vote for APC come Saturday. And Abia State too is going to OT. And may God bring peace to my father's ancestral home, Igbumina, and Kwara State at large. Let's pick some calls. Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Okpe.
You're welcome. Your name and where you're calling from?
My name is Mark. I'm calling from
Mr. Mark, you have 1 minute. Let's do this real quick.
1 minute. Okay. I go to Mr. Fag also.
How are you?
So, I would have loved to talk about the issues of Wiki and building of the houses and all that. But just drop something. I want you to Google General Services Administration in the United States. Just Google that. So, let's keep that there. It's an arm of the executive in the United States. General Services Administration. So try and Google that. So coming back to the issue of the registration. So on May 22 or May 2nd, the Court of Appeal gave a stay of proceeding, okay, to the Federal High Court to stop proceedings. However, as at May 18, all proceedings have been completed, and the judge, Justice Peter Lifu,
what proceeding? What proceeding was completed?
Of the issue of the registration. INEC Legal Services and other parties, they filed their reply.
Calm down. When the appeal court says stay proceedings, stop further proceedings, what does it mean?
Proceedings? It means stop trial.
Yeah, so?
Trial has been completed.
Which trial has been completed? By who and who?
When the issue started.
So wait, what do you call a judicial proceeding? What does a judicial proceeding means to you?
Proceeding means trial. Simply.
So when you say trial,
delivery of judgment has already been announced.
Wait. So announcing a date to deliver judgment is not part of a proceeding to you.
When the judgment has already been written,
okay,
can the judgment be arrested?
So the judgment has been written. So it must still be announced when the Superior Court says stop proceeding. So stop making stop making a fool of yourself now. This is a Superior Court told you.
So let's take it easy. Side far. Let's
a proceeding told a Superior Court said stop everything.
All proceedings.
You say, they have written the judgment, so it must be delivered for you to secure the Superior Court.
Side far.
Why are you making a fool of yourself?
Take it soft on my callers, please. Take it soft on my callers. I understand, but let's go on. David from Lagos says when Hamichi said he was hungry for power, not the regular hunger for food. So that is his point. However, if his hunger for power is to make Nigeria better, then it's a good hunger. Okay. I hope you got the sarcasm I played with side for, and don't think I deliberately believe that he's hungry. In ACN presidential combination in 2011, it was Anu Ribadu Muslim Fola Adeola Muslim. Okay, from Babadin the first one in Ogun State. Thank you very much. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
You're welcome.
Hello, good afternoon.
You're welcome.
Yes, my name is Malam Salah.
Yeah, Malam Salah.
Oga Ford, before Asiwaju write his book, let me tell you why he chooses
you are not Asiwaju.
Muslim ticket. But I can understand his sentiment.
Okay, all right.
It's not out of fanatism. You understand? It's political strategy. Whether we like it or not, that is the fact. You can't be a president in this country without support of Muslims. That is a simple truth.
Yeah, but he's a Muslim. Malam Salah, Asiwaju is a Muslim. Why does he need a Muslim running mate? Or Muslim?
Yes, he needs a Muslim running mate because you want to push me that one now. You want to clever me as a journalist.
Is it not the right question?
Let me speak my mind.
Asiwaju is a Muslim. Yes.
Yes, no doubt about that. He's a Muslim, perfect. There is no way you can tell him he's not a Muslim. You understand? But do you know what? Do you know that we don't, Asiwaju is not that kind of practicing Muslim. And he make it very clear now. He's not a practicing Muslim now.
How do you know? He prays.
He make it very clear. Sir, he said, I bet Asiwaju cannot even recite Surah Al-Fatiha.
I don't know about that. You cannot say that for a fact.
That is not my argument, sir. I just want to listen because of time. Right. Because of time. You understand? So this is the fact. Because if you look at the Northwest, Northeast, what is the percentage of Christians there? None. And you can't be a president without getting votes from those two regions. You get me? So that is a simple fact. That is the fact. Even in Kaduna, that is southern Kaduna, out of 24, 25 local government, the Christian has only 5%. I mean, 5 local governments. That is why Christian has never been a governor of Kaduna State. When during the when RFI understand that they are not with him, that was when the time RFI started Muslim ticket. And that was not something to be a governor. The only governor that came from southern Kaduna, that is the lady Yakoa. And Yakoa, that is the strategy. The Christian Association of Nigeria Northern Chapter pleaded with Jonathan to pick Sambo as a vice, so that Yakoa will be a governor of this state. That is it. So that is the strategy. But he's not doing that. But if you look at it in reality in his government, did he really say that somebody that wants to please, favor?
Thank you, Malam Salah. Thank you. Thank you very much. Good afternoon. I really agree with your perspective on judicial rascality exhibited by Justice Peter Lifu. The intrigues and manipulations in the judiciary should not be allowed to stand because the citizens' welfare and their security. Justice Peter Lifu should be questioned and disciplined without any further delay. Okay, thank you very much. And that is okay. This is what some people said about Peter Obi, that he wouldn't get up to 1 million votes. Still, it shocked a lot of people. Anyone overlooking Rotimi Amaechi's political relevance must be joking. Are you telling me that he wouldn't have won a good amount of state if he had won the primaries of the APC in 2023? Remember, the man was second, if I'm correct. How then would anyone downplay the political reach? A political calculation would only amount to watery speculation when election comes. Nigeria's election beats any political mathematics studied in Harvard. The rule of gravity doesn't work in Nigerian politics. What goes up, not what comes down in the class of Nigerian politics. That is from Tay. Thank you very much. But I'm sure you know that the 2022 primaries of the APC was indirect primaries. So they were just delegates they were playing with. Side forward, I enjoy your analysis. On the issue of independence of the judiciary, doesn't mean the constitution cannot be amended to guarantee the independence of the judiciary financially. It could be done. Why is no one pushing for it? That is Taiwo from Ejigbo. Good afternoon to you. Allegedly, perception and sensational rumor contributing more to Nigeria's problem. What you can't prove, don't lay claim to it. Do you remember the report that Sanwo-Olu was ordered to resign so that Hamzat can take over in order to be bound? Okay. Emmanuel, thank you very much, by the way. Michael from Sabo is also texting. And it says, God bless you for the honest, in-depth, and objective analysis, which some Google and ChatGPT callers who would always argue blindly like they did this morning with Sage can never understand. It is absolutely right to insinuate that this deregistration has a hand of the presidency and the APC by extension in it, because I believe that I know they do too. That Atiku pose a bigger threat to Tinubu than even Peter Obi. Not even now that he's running with Amaechi, who is highly underrated as far as his political stamina and priorities is concerned. About those who will surely know. Thank you very much, Michael from Sabo Yaba. Charles from First Act, and good afternoon to your pan side for Peter Obi and NDC supporters were mocking ADC on Monday after the judgment from Justice Peter Lifu. That is Charles from First Act. Thank you. Good afternoon to your pan forward. One thing that must be understood by Nigeria is the fact that every institution pays attention to what comes from the executive before they could act. We should also understand the price paid by the likes of Onoge and other 5 Supreme Court judges whose houses were invaded by Buhari for not doing the bidding of the executive. So we shouldn't be surprised these things are happening because this is the style of the APC since they took over. That is James from Agbado. God bless you, side father. My fears are 2027 general election concerning the activities of INEC that are supposed to be independent, but to me they are not. Because of the constitution that allows the chairman of INEC to be appointed by the president, so it is difficult to talk of independence of INEC. Nigerian people are ready to vote candidate of their choice, but I'm afraid of another Mahmoud Yakub in the making come 2027. That is Benjamin from Shogunle. This triple from Mojo, do you believe in manipulations? When in Africa, here we are so wicked that we use all the diabolical means to remote you to do things. If you are the type who argues so much and do not believe and you are empty, not filled by the Holy Ghost, you'll be manipulated to do what you don't want to do. This is what's happening in Nigerian political atmosphere today. It is only God's intervention that can change the situation. Okay, good afternoon to you, INEC. Good afternoon to you. INEC is deliberately killing the morale of the young people that are trying to get their PVCs now. They're not giving out the PVC. They're also not registering intending voters. Everywhere all over the country. I saw one when a guy shows a death certificate as a form of registration of PVC. Okay, let's get this straight.
Is registering people.
They are. The Milan FM crew were at the INEC office in Yaba last week Tuesday.
And it was seamless.
And then it was seamless, and we were able to get all of the things done. We saw a lot of people there, though maybe because of the pressure on the central server, but they're actually trying the best that they can. Please, I would advise that you should please try and make sure that even if it's to take a day off work. A good day to your and side for a great analysis. That is Chris from Ikeja. Everyone, good afternoon to you all on Mina FM family. Can you see where religion and ethnicity is pushing this country to? That is Oladele from Isolo. Thank you. Our first thought from Ikorodu is texting us WhatsApp and he says, good afternoon, guys. This has to be the best radio combination when it comes to political issues and all. Is your station considering opening a TV station? A well done side for Anokwe. 5 and 6 way good. God bless you. That is first thought from Ikorodu. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
You're welcome.
This is Kenny from Mushu.
Mr. Collins, let's do this 30 seconds.
Kenny from Mushu.
Mr. Fuad, what a great analysis. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
An issue of the judgment of Federal High Court. I think this is the time the Judicial Service Commission should be hard on judges and should use Justice Peter Lifu as an example, a deterrent for other judges not to go against the Supreme Court ruling. That is fine. This is very, very simple, very, very feasible. They have to be hard on him to serve as a deterrent. But the issue of Rotimi but to me, I don't think they have political pedigree to raise up the bar for Atiku in the next election. But people are saying he has a political weight. Well, let's wait and see.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kenny. I have to let you go. Samuel Ajayi says, I quite agree with you, but with Nigerians who is 18 and above to get their PVCs and vote the ruling party out, not keeping it as a personal effect of possession.
They should vote the ruling party out.
No, that's what Samuel Ajayi is saying. I'm reading a message on Facebook. Samuel Ajayi, I quietly agree with you, with what you said, that Nigerians above 18 should get their PVCs.
Okay, reading it again, you see what.
Thank you.
The way you read it, it was as if it was quoting you.
John Bernardo says, I will do our best for you to understand, but we don't expect you to understand because your mindset makes me laugh. That is a statement from Side Forward. Those in the center of universe and Abaronje should take notes. We have to go Side Forward. Thank you very much for being a part of the conversation today. We'll continue again next week Wednesday, God will. But by 4 o'clock today, there will be a focus on the upcoming election, of course, in some of the states, the off-cycle election. So you have to join Sig Babalola. By 5:30, we'll have the Mainland FM Global News. By 6, the Wednesday edition of Sports Cruise. The FIFA World Cup is going on strong. And guess who put up the magic at 3 a.m. today? Of course, arguably the greatest player the world had ever seen, Lionel Messi. 3 goals, 3-0 victory over Algeria in Argentina's opening game in a bid to defend their FIFA World Cup. All of this and more would come up by 6 p.m. Next up is The Boss, the Wednesday edition. Stay with us.